Vishen, thanks so much for spending some time with us.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
So let's start with your background, your story. How did you become an entrepreneur? What got you into what you're doing today?
So, like all good entrepreneurs, I started with my first idea failing, and then my second idea failing, then my third idea failing. And at this point, the failure was really brutal. I'd lost around 30 grand I'd borrowed from my father. I was in Silicon Valley. It was the year of the dot-com bubble bursting.
2000 or so?
Yeah. 2001, I believe. And I moved to Silicon Valley with bold dreams as a computer engineer to start a software company based on an idea I had. I didn't understand how tough it was going to be. I lost everything. I was only able to afford renting a couch from a Berkeley college student. On that two-seater couch was my entire life.
Wow.
And so the economy was so bad. I remember April 2001, 14,000 people were laid off in San Francisco, right?
Wow.
People were attending pink slip parties. And I had no job prospects. I had lost my business. I'd lost the 30 grand from my father. The only job I could get was a dialing for dollars job. I had to pick up the phone and persuade lawyers to buy technology to help manage their law firms. And it was brutal, it was depressing. If you've ever been a telemarketer interrupting a busy Texas lawyer in the middle of his workday, you are gonna hear more yous than what you'd ever expect. So one day after the 9th lawyer told me to off, I fell into a depression and I got on Google and I decided to seek hope. So I searched for something. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was, why does life suck so bad? Or it was, why can't I be happy? And I found a class on meditation. So I flew to LA, I took that class, and I returned to my job the next day. And that class shifted something in me. What I know is that I started using abilities of my mind that I never previously was utilizing, not the stuff that I learned in school. And in 1 week, I doubled my sales. I continued going deeper into these practices, these transcendent practices, this art of going within to improve how you function in the world. And I doubled my sales again and again. In 4 months, I got promoted 3 times. At 26, I was made director of sales. And now, I was a key leader in this company. They shipped me out to New York. I opened an office there. I was 26 years old. I had men in their 40s reporting to me, and I learned a ton. And 18 months later, I decided I wanted to start my own business. But this time, I did it right. I had learned sales. I had learned marketing. I wasn't just a software engineer thinking that if you build it, they will come. I brought these ideas into my next business, Mind Valley, and it's been a frickin' joyride ever since.
So where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
So you grew up in Malaysia, and was your father in Malaysia at the time you borrowed the money?
Right.
So, after having a succession of failures, and you got yourself turned around in the ways you described, what got you to say, okay, I'm ready to go back and try again? Because that had to be a very big decision.
Right. So one of the biggest things that I think we have to go through in life, right, is failure. And how we approach failure really depends on our worldview. But I know that in studies of highly successful people, one of the key ingredients to their success is grit. It's the ability to go through the road bumps of life without making those bumps rattle you to the point where you can't continue. And so I changed my worldview of failure. I started seeing failure as an opportunity to grow. Because from every failure, there's a seed of knowledge that's going to be planted. And this applies to failures across all dimensions of life. Someone dumps you. It frickin' hurts. But you learn what to do correctly in your next relationship. And when a business fails, it is so painful, but you learn what to do better. In my case, I learned that I had needed to master not just coding, but marketing, but sales for my next business idea to take off. So I started learning from these failures. And when I changed my mindset to view failure as information, failure is not a judgment. Failure is not going to be a perpetual stamp on your brand. Failure is just information on what doesn't work. And you use that information and you do what works. And so now I really approach failure with the sense of like ease and joy. Gonna fail? No problem. I wonder what I'm gonna learn.
really interesting is how it was just a change of mindset or
Right.
adopting mindfulness, if you will. Was that a part of your culture ever, your upbringing, or was this the first time that you discovered
No.
it?
You know what? The style of meditation I first picked up was basically a meditation program that originated on the Texas-Mexican border. It didn't come from India or China. It literally was started by a Texan Mexican by the name of Jose Silva in the 60s. He started a program called the Silva Mind Control Method.
Familiar with it.
And I guess you can call it Tex-Mex meditation. but true to American style, it wasn't about just going within. There's a grand myth in meditation that the point of meditation is to master these inner states. That's true, yes. Mastering your inner states, for example, can help you ride through failure, but you are not going to truly live a great life if you're only going within. You got to step out. You got to be able to use the lessons you learn from introspection to go out in life and build and create and change the world. I call it the difference between the Buddha and the badass. You need to reconcile both. The world doesn't just need badasses who are going out there and crushing it at the expense of their health and stress and anxiety and broken families. The world also needs Buddhas who can master the inner state. But the world doesn't need more Buddhas who are just going to be meditating in a cave. I mean, get out there and do something. So I like to see meditation and life as the point of merging the Buddha and the badass. So you master the inner game, but you use it to actually go out and do good at your career, at entrepreneurship, at getting that product or service out to market.
The businesses that you started and failed, did any of them resemble what the ideas of Mind Valley are, or were they completely different?
Many of them were completely different. I started an early version of Instagram in 2005. Back then it was bound for failure because proper phones with cameras didn't really exist. I started a type of email software that allowed you to take back an email. You know, have you ever sent a drunk email and you wish you could take it back?
Yeah.
It allowed that. It failed. So there were countless failures, but I learned from those failures and I learned what to do that worked.
So how did the idea of Mind Valley come about then?
So Mind Valley came about because taking that class on meditation allowed me to just completely excel at my job. And I started asking myself, why is it that we don't learn this stuff in school? And that's when I came across a quote by Mandela. He said, if you want to change the world, change education. So I thought, well, this is an interesting idea. If I can create something that can truly change the world, why not do it in education? And since I stumbled upon the education of meditation and mindfulness, let's focus on that. And that's how Mind Valley started. The mind in Mind Valley literally comes from mind, mindfulness, and so on.
Thanks so much for being here and watching that video. And can I ask you to please subscribe to our channel so you can find out when we're posting new content. You'll be alerted right away when we do. To share this with people you think might benefit from the information, and certainly it helps us if you like the video. So if you like what you just saw, go ahead and hit that like button. And again, thank you so much for being here with me right now.